How's everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday. Now get ready for tomorrow. Powell going on the microphone. Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This your boy TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new episode to your boy TraderPrad. We are here locked and loaded Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Monday for third week of October. So far, pretty okay start for some stocks. Not so hot. Okay move for the overall market. You know, S&P 500 and QQQ actually flushing to the downside and then moving back up. IWM getting smacked hard to the downside. Nvidia rallying big time to the north side. So some positions were moving higher, but overall the market did look like it was getting smacked really hard to the downside at one point in the day today, and then Nvidia just coming in and kind of rescuing the market from way too much of downside is what I basically saw from the market. But boy, oh boy, what an opportunity once again on the nuclear energy sector. That one moving higher. We got some other news names: Kenvue, Zim, Boeing, DJT, all moving to the high side, giving you some opportunities. Small cap names also giving you some trades potential. Backside coming into play on some of these small cap names like DRUG, NUZE, and so on. And if not backside, more front side, more upside coming in on these small cap names too. So lots for us to talk about. Yesterday we spent a good hour or so talking to our friends at Alpha Exchange from in the cryptocurrency world. So if you haven't checked out that episode yet, head over to YouTube and go check out the Pradcast episode number 4, where we had some good conversations with Fireman Steve from the Alpha Exchange group about a lot about cryptocurrencies. Understanding the cryptocurrency side a lot more than I already do because of that conversation. So if you want to learn about how Bitcoin works, cryptocurrencies work, NFTs, what happened to NFTs, what potentially could happen with NFTs, we tapped into a wide range of topics and getting to know Fireman Steve, and obviously we'll have him on another time in the future. So go check out that episode. Let's head over to the full screen. Let's get talking about all the things that are in store for tomorrow. Start looking at the earnings board that we did not see yesterday, because obviously yesterday was like a podcast episode. So let's head over and go see the earnings board for this week. Here is the earnings board. Let me quickly turn off my webcam to show you guys that there's not much earnings actually, or at least not many names of importance for me as a day trader coming into the earnings calendar today. But we got a lot of names coming in the earnings calendar tomorrow, especially in the research and in the aerospace and defense category. RTX, which was previously Raytheon Technologies, Lockheed Martin, LMT, and GE, General Aerospace, who recently shifted from just being GE to GE Aerospace, breaking big levels on their last earnings report, now going into almost 2007 highs from what I saw today. So GE coming into a earnings report very soon. We're very interested to see how this one sets up for an opportunity in the pre-market, along with the other stocks in the same sector, RTX and LMT. Besides that sector, we also have 3M, GM, and Verizon reporting earnings that are also on the watch list for Tuesday pre-market. Logitech is something that I did put on my watch list. They actually report, I think, somewhere in the middle of the day or way in the pre-market, not actually after hours, but earnings calendar I think got it wrong over here. I think Logitech reports in their native country. I'm not sure if it's Switzerland. I could be wrong where Logitech actually is registered, but their report seems to have been good. They popped up to the high side, so I made it my job to put the stock on the watch list for us to talk about. So that one made the cut. Tomorrow after hours, you got Enphase, Seagate, storage drive, memory space, computing space in general. So STX, Seagate reporting earnings along with Enphase. Enphase recently dropping to the downside quite a bit. So obviously on watch as is going into the earnings report. Texas Instruments, not something that's usually giving you a crazy trade to take advantage of, but if it does, we'll be there to take advantage of it. All these three names report tomorrow after hours, along with a bunch of other names. So if you're interested to see how these names move, make sure you tune in tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We'll be using our good friends over at Benzinga to dive deeper into those earnings reports. Wednesday pre-market, that's a name that I know a lot of people have their eyes peeled out for. Boeing, BA, another aerospace and defense name. Boeing actually making a little bit of a move to the upside right now because of potential renegotiation conversations and actually going in the right direction. They're looking at the negotiations are actually working. They're renegotiating in a way where they're gonna not have a strike extended any much longer. Previously they went on strike, they negotiated something, Boeing backed out on those negotiations and the workers went back on strike. So now Boeing is working on getting these employees, these workers, away from the strike and back into the workforce, working on their airplanes and so on. So Boeing making a nice little bump off of that to the north side today. But let's see if this earnings report Wednesday pre-market allows them to retrace some of their big destruction so far. AT&T, Coca-Cola, NEE Energy, GE, okay, another GE, but this is a GEV, GM Group, CME Group, sorry, Thermo Fisher, Boston Scientific, General Dynamics. So quite a bunch of names actually. A nice chunk of names reporting in the pre-market on Wednesday, but Wednesday after hours is a big name right there. That's Tesla, currently stuck in an absolute consolidation range. Obviously very interested to see how Tesla reports and which direction that one starts heading back into. IBM, Lam Research, Newmont, QuantumScape, QS, Telus Mobile, competition with Verizon. Usually anything Verizon does, Telus Global also does the same move, so you can keep an eye on. Or maybe I'm thinking about AT&T, sorry. Anyways, all three names pretty much the same sector, yeah, and they all report very close to each other, so all looks like a sector in play, for tomorrow. Las Vegas Sands also reporting. That's your gambling name, that's your Macau, China gambling casino name over there, so maybe something having fun over in that side too. Next one, we got Thursday, we got American Airlines, UPS, Southwest Airlines. Any more airlines reporting? Not really. We already had United Airlines report, if I remember correctly. So we got a bunch of other airlines over here reporting Thursday pre-market. AAL, LUV, along with the airliners, we got UPS, the NASDAQ market making a report itself. I like it. The exchange, I guess, reporting. Union Pacific Railways. I think that's what it is, Railways. I might be wrong on that, but not something that I usually trade anyway, so I don't really care if I'm wrong on it. A bunch of other companies over here reporting in the pre-market. Mainly, I think the ones we would care about is AAL, UPS, and LUV. Let's look at the after hours. Western Digital, that's a direct competition to Seagate, and usually something that I do day trade anytime they report earnings. So Western Digital, very much on watch Thursday after hours, along with Coursera. I know that one was mentioned recently on the chat. People were looking at Coursera for potential long opportunities for an investment, for a swing trade. Let's see how they set up on their earnings report. Maybe it could give you an opportunity off the report to play off of. And then ending the week with the earnings report, we got a couple banks. We got New York Community Bank Corp. I'm guessing that's NYCB. Yeah, that is NYCB. Piper Sandler, I think that's a investment firm. You see a lot of Piper Sandler upgrades, downgrades coming in all the time. I'm guessing that's what that one is right there. Colgate Palmolive, you know what that is, but if you don't, then probably because you don't brush your teeth, you dirty human. So go wash your teeth. Most likely it's a Colgate toothpaste that you got in there. They have the biggest market share at this point, right? What other company is so synonymous with toothpaste other than Colgate? I just can't think of any other ones. Colgate, top brand recognition for me, at least maybe because, you know, I was born in India, and in India, Colgate advertisements are all over the place. That's the only brand you ever see on TV. So, Crest says Barstool Bagel. Crest is actually not a bad competitive name that you mentioned. I forgot about Crest. Yeah, you do see quite a bit about Crest. You also see a lot about their mouthwash and so on, something that Colgate doesn't necessarily advertise, or I don't even think Colgate even has, unless Colgate owns Listerine, and that's how they are in the mouthwash business. I don't know if they own Listerine or not. Let's go actually check who owns Listerine. Oh, Kenvue owns Listerine. Damn. And obviously Kenvue is owned by Johnson & Johnson. J&J. That's their spin-off of their drug and health business, which actually made a move to the north side today. Kenvue made a pop to the north side on a news catalyst, up 5% after reporting suggesting Starboard Value has acquired a stake in the company. Activist investor, possibly not a passive investor, but trying to shake things up investor over there, putting some money into Kenvue. I've seen them recently put money into another company too. I can't remember off the top what company it was, but they have recently put some money into a company, and that also caused it to go to the upside. So Kenvue today catching some traction off off of that news. Anyways, coming back to the earnings board over here real quick. No big names other than mainly Tesla and some of the names that are basically reporting tomorrow pre-market, which will be our main focus. So LMT, pretty expensive stock, but RTX is a fairly cheap price. It's only $100 price. Does fairly decent amount of volume on earnings day. 3M, another good stock that's on a reverse trajectory at the moment. If the report's not good, I think there could be quite a bit of a downside on 3M. GM, I didn't really look at the chart, but we got a lot of names over here that are in beautiful levels and beautiful areas for us to map out and get ready for. So why don't we head over to the charts and start getting ready. I see Money Mitch is in the house. What's up, Money Mitch? I love that picture. Money Mitch is in the house. For those of you who don't know who Money Mitch is, he is your host from Trade the Pool show on YouTube. He day trades live every single day, Monday to Thursday, pre-market all the way up to lunch, I believe. So go check him out on Trade the Pool stream. Money Mitch, I enjoyed watching you today. Good to see that you're safe. I know the Florida weather got a little crazy and you lost power and all that crazy stuff. So I'm very happy to see you're safe, you're back, and your family's also safe. That's beautiful, man. I can't wait to see you in the morning again. You used to be part of my routine, so I can't wait for that to come back. All right. Money Mitch basically saying a joke that I used to say when I used to work on a big day trading stream. Goldman sucks. Anytime Goldman Sachs came up as a topic, I used to say Goldman sucks. And today, Goldman did suck. Goldman pulled all the way back 2% to the south side, moving right into the previous all-time high of 517, basically bouncing exactly off of 517 and ending 80 cents higher than 517 to close the day. Goldman does suck, but I guess on a bigger spectrum, bigger scale, if you just pull back, it's a tiny blip in the pullback over there for Goldman. Very tiny blip. But we're not talking about Goldman right now. I guess, however, that level on Goldman is pretty decent to play under over 516, 515 under over. If Goldman can show you selling under 515, there could be some possible shorts over there for you to play with. I just don't think I'm going to be that interested to push into a bank as a day trade when there's other names doing crazy things. So let's talk about these other names doing crazy things, starting with OKLO. OKLO ripping to the high side today, bringing in volume once again, and actually doing a little bit better than some of its peers. SMR, which was actually the one that had the Amazon contract, not doing as well as OKLO, and NE was probably the one that did the best, up 34% today to the north side. So nuclear energy, obviously, very in play at the moment. So they are, you could say they're overextended, whatever you want to say, right? But at the moment, this is not backside yet. The characteristics are not showing you that the momentum is shifting. This could pull back, yes, but doesn't mean the shorts are in play now for these names. These names are kind of going parabolic, so getting ready for the parabolic short coming into play as a day trade that could be potentially turned into a swing trade too, not just on some of these energy nuclear names, but also on some of the small cap names such as DRUG and NUZE. So watching some of these names for a nice little pullback. So let's start with the top of the board over here at OKLO. OKLO, a new all-time high today, getting higher than Friday's high, and actually closing at a pretty bullish way, I guess, to the upside over here. At this point, you're waiting to see, can the stock actually find buying off of today's VWAP? Today's VWAP around $21. If the stock finds buying off of today's VWAP and rips off to the north side off of today's VWAP, there's a lot of potential to the high side again for this position. Not saying it's gonna happen in the very same day, but this is a setup that I have seen on SMR, on NNE on day 2 happening exactly picture perfectly. After the stock pulls back, holds the previous day's anchored VWAP, it just tickles it. It doesn't even hold it. It tickles it and it runs. The stock runs back into previous day's high, at which point it doesn't break out of previous day's high, and it just kind of settles in between the 50% range of the candle from the previous day. So that's something that I'm expecting over here. The stock opens a little bit lower, goes into $21, rips away from $21, goes into today's high or a little bit above today's high, and then either it fails to stay above today's high and then pulls back, at which point I quickly just take my scalp, or it stays bullish above today's high, and then I continue to look to add to my position for a way bigger explosion opportunity coming into play on these names. So OKLO, looking for, right now it says 21.26 on the daily chart, but if you go to the 5-minute chart, it says today's VWAP was 21.60, which actually makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Where's today's VWAP? Oh, look at that. Today's VWAP also just so happens to be last week's high. Well. Crazy how math works like that. Last week's high, yesterday's high is exactly where today's VWAP is, and showing you where how much volume transacted in this area and then eventually broke out higher. Beautiful. I love seeing it. So monster level over there, basically 2050 to 2060 on OKLO. I don't want to see the stock below 2050. If we are starting to trade below 2050 tomorrow off the opening drive, or even later on in the day, then most likely the range is between 2050 to today's low a day. So from 2050, the next support range for me will be 1850, and from 2050, the resistance range will basically be $23. So I'm looking for an easy $2-3 swing long in a minute, in the next minute or 2 minutes. If we go to $20.50, I want to see the stock bounce away from 2050 and get to $23 within like the next 5 minutes. If it doesn't, you want to be a little careful. If it does, you want to book your profits into that 5-minute expansion. And once that 5-minute expansion comes, you want to be careful how the stock reacts on the pullback, because it could easily just fail to be a high day break. But if it starts to hold above the previous day's high, which is today's high, if it starts to hold above 23, then you got a real day 2 play. Now you're turning that scalp into a way bigger trade, a monstrous opportunity potentially setting up on OKLO. So watching this one without a doubt. NNE, the one that actually had the biggest move in the sector today, consolidated a lot tighter than the other stocks, and so the explosion was obviously a lot more explosive than the other ones. Makes sense. Not at its all-time high yet, unlike OKLO, and I think SMR is not at its all-time high either. No, SMR is at its all-time high. Okay, but NNE not at its all-time high just yet, but looking to I guess push towards that area. Big explosion coming in, and same idea. You want to see day 1. You can kind of use today as a day 1, even though the sector has been kind of really hot all last week and this week too. But you can use today's move as a day 1, and you want to see the stock respecting today's VWAP. So where does today's VWAP end up? 24.50 on any pullback into. Maybe I should put at 2050, 2060 as my inflection area, not as support. I'll do that. Support 80.50, resistance 23. And then for NNE, I'll do inflection 24.50. Last week's high was $23, 22.85. What the hell's going on? Why is my dog making weird noises? Yesterday's high 22.85. What was today's low? 21.17. Basically $21 is today's low. Today's high is $28. $20. I love seeing that. So pretty wide range from the inflection point. If we hold 24.50 on any pullback, expecting the stock to go to 28 would be awesome. Awesome. NNE and then SMR is the laggard. Sadly, that one didn't really set up too hot today. Didn't really do too much. It did go up slightly by 4%, but it just simply wasn't that hot. So unless the other stocks cool off tomorrow, and SMR is the one that starts breaking out with some volume. So if SMR starts breaking out with some volume above this 2035, and surprisingly enough, actually now that I think about it, I remember trading the stock into this 2035 area on Friday itself. I remember trading the stock into that 2035 area and scalping my wins really quickly, because I noticed this level in the after hours / pre-market where the stock struggled to get above. So if we actually manage to get above this 2035 2050, I think this one could have a explosion to the north side. It's compressing. We have a lot of back and forth going on. The springs are compressing, but its competitors, its peers are rallying. So if this one wants to catch up, anyone who builds shorts in this area will most likely get blown out, and we're gonna get more FOMO buyers coming into play for us to lean on as an intraday opportunity. So very much in play, coloring these three names in high orange, big priority. Next one on board, IonQ. Looks like IonQ has been catching a little bit of attraction recently. I would say this is a little, going a little parabolic, a little overextended on the daily chart, but this is not setting up for a short again, just like the other stocks that we were mentioning. Once it starts to show the change of characteristics, then we are ready to look for an intraday short. At the moment, the quantum computing sector, the AI sector, they've been extremely frothy, extremely juicy, and people have been dying to buy up positions in these sectors. I think somebody on CNBC today was hyping up AI computing, I guess. Amy Riskin on CNBC touted the potential of content computing on CNBC. So IonQ rallied a little bit higher, 11% higher, not a little bit. So obviously ripping to the high side. We have this previous consolidation high, which is around I guess December high, you can say last year December high, 1550. And then you have another one into 1660, a little bit of an empty space from 1660 all the way up to $20, and then you got a little bit of a box kind of to keep an eye on from 20 to 2150 on IonQ. So a couple areas, and then from there, once again, you have a lot of empty space above here. So anything is possible. But right now, as I'm watching this position, this is the box that I would like to keep an eye on. Actually, let's go see what some of these indicators are saying. IonQ. IONQ. There you go. Pretty much the exact same box that I was just talking about. So could expect resistance in this area. They're saying no possible field value gap resistance even coming into the upside that I just marked out a little bit higher, but I would still keep these peaks on watch. But right now, as we go into these little peaks, it says that's a strong high. Okay, so whatever that value is of that strong high, I think we did pre-market over here into $16.60 or $15.50. We want to see the stock maybe show us a false break of these areas, and then not able to have buying above these levels to then look for an intraday short. It's a little parabolic, even showing me resistance around today's high. You can say today's high was kind of a false break of $15, and tomorrow potentially we see the very same thing coming into play, a false break of $15, no buying above $15, and the stock just gets slammed back down. But I will be willing to give my risk up to $15.50 if I do take the short. Let's say the stock gets above 15, goes up to today's high, which was 15.23. goes a little bit above 1523, goes up to 1530, and then gets back below 15 and does not stay strong above 15 at all for an intraday opportunity, then I will be looking for that failed follow through back below 15 for a move back into maybe $14 where today's VWAP is or whatever. So looking for that opportunity on the stock, but I will give the risk up to 1550. I won't give it all the way only to the recent high of 1534, 1535 that it might be making tomorrow. I am okay with losing up to 1550 to see if I'm wrong on that position. If I'm wrong, then I stay away from it. Clearly very much in play, very bullish momentum. It could easily go up into 1660, go up into $20 for all we know. Quantum computing seems to be the new buzzword from what AI used to be. So people kind of I won't be surprised if a lot of earnings reports now start just throwing around quantum computing around like it's you know, the new word to throw around like AI was. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see if it actually happens. The IonQ potentially gives us some short opportunities. Very parabolic at the moment, but volume's also picking up. So I love seeing that. Volume's picking up, going a little parabolic. Let's see if we can see previous days highs getting blown out, previous days lows getting blown out, and some setting up into a day trade scalp short. DJT. Looks like DJT had a catalyst today. DJT moved higher, 5% higher on a Supreme Court rejected Michael Cohen's attempt to revive a Trump lawsuit. So DJT getting slammed back over here to the upside. I guess you could say it's consolidating, not really doing a whole lot. I missed my opportunity to get long DJT at $13. You guys have heard me bitch enough about it. DJT right now is exactly at the 200-day moving average. It's right around the 200-day moving average. Imagine DJT starts getting above the 200-day moving average going into the election. And Trump actually wins, and DJT is now at $60, $50, $70. How sad am I going to be? I don't know, but we'll find out when we get there. At the moment for a day trade, I mean, DJT has okay volume, but I'm not really interested for a day trade until it starts breaking out a little bit or goes back into supports. Kenvue had a catalyst today. Investor catalyst. Starboard value investor taking stake in Kenvue popping into a solid resistance and not really finding any buying into that resistance area. So let's say tomorrow Kenvue actually manages to go right back into today's high or even a little bit above today's high into this 2350. I think we gotta play. Either Kenvue gets above 2350 and stays above 2350, or Kenvue gets into 2350, struggles, and gives us another easy short like it did today. Today up 5% even after pulling back from that area. Looking for the stock to pull back over there and show some struggle again, or we'll see what happens. Even if it holds above that 2350, the fact that it has such a nice top into that 2350, buying above 2350 could just mean that this new activist investor catalyst is so good that buyers want to step in and buy up every single share. If that's the case, easy long for me above that too. It reminds me very much of this stock, ISRG. If you see ISRG on its earnings day, this stock did exactly what I wanted to do, and I'm so sad for not playing this stock. Pull back into the previous all-time high and hold and run. That's exactly what it did. It gave you how big of a move that day? $47 move. Fuck. Why make a beautiful plan when you're not even gonna stick to it and follow it at all? So sadly, that one was a missed plan. But if Kenvue gets above that 2355, that looks very much like that same setup for me over there. However, ISRG was at all-time high. I don't think Kenvue is at all-time high. Anyways. Zim recently got smacked back down, but today moving right back up. I think, I don't know how to pronounce this company's name, but Maersk It's another one of those shipping containers companies. They guided higher for their earnings report. So Zim on the coattails of that company, now moving back higher. Previously was in a solid consolidation range, but now breaking out of the consolidation and looking like it wants to start rallying back higher. If I remember correctly, Zim does have a decently high short flow. Let's go confirm that really quick over here using our friends over at Benzinga. ZIM Integrated Shipping Services. Show flow 15.8%. It was more than 20 at one point. I do remember seeing it in the red, but no longer in that high ranges. Not something that I actually want to even care about a day trade, I'll be honest with you, but I just felt like bringing it up. I know a lot of people in the chat usually like talking about Zim. Wink wink, nudge nudge. My girl Momo, if you're in the chat, mainly putting Zim on the watch list for you. Not sure I'll be even trading it, but hey, shout out to Zim. Logitech, this is something that I might be keeping a close eye on tomorrow. They don't have enough volume for a company that I would like to see. 30-day average less than 1 million shares. 500,000 shares is a 30-day average. They might be actually registered in the Switzerland side of the world. I don't know where they're actually even from, but whatever they are, they have very low volume and they report in their time zones. So it's supposed to, it says Logitech reports today after hours, but they already reported and they already moved higher. So looking to see if we can take traction off this move over here on Logitech, or advantage of this move over here that we saw on Logitech today, to the upside, going into a previous resistance. This is the August swing low resistance. So we've seen a lot of these stocks make a move from August 5th to the high side. That is the absolute top that we walked into before going right back and making a double bottom. So now a double top coming back into play after creating a double bottom into that $93 area. It's either Logitech gets above 93 and shows you buying above 93, or it struggles into $93 and you can look for easy shorts back down below 93. With the way the stock moved today, I'm expecting it to consolidate a little bit going into 93 and then set up for a little bit of an explosive move above 93. So maybe keep an alert on this one for the next few days. You could also look for that day 2 opportunity. Today was day 1. If the stock actually pulls back into today's VWAP, holds today's VWAP, easy run up into today's high, maybe even all the way into $93, at which point you can take some profits and then look to see if the stock actually has buying above 93 or not. The next few stocks that we're going to quickly mention are basically the stocks that we've been hyping up all day today, but sadly, we don't know what they're going to do. So let me actually do this. Let me log into Options AI. IonQ going to $25 by end of the year. Love it or hate it. Boeing going to 188 by Friday, says Wayne Wang. Okay, I like the call outs. I like the call outs. Let's see who else is in the chat. We got Dieter in the chat. What's up, Dieter? How are you doing? We got John Bonds in the house. What's up, Johnny boy? John says thoughts on Boeing, NIO, or Amazon. Amazon, I got no thoughts on. NIO, I could take a look at NIO. And Boeing, honestly, I got no thoughts on Boeing either. At the moment, Boeing is making a pop, but I don't usually like to trade Boeing to the long side. I am anti-Boeing. Anti-Boeing to the death of me. You guys suck at making airplanes, or at least you suck at quality insurance. Quality assurance. You guys suck at quality assurance. So let's see if you can actually get up there. Looks like one of my friends is saying Boeing to 188 by Friday. I'm gonna say, yeah, okay, good luck with that. 181 is the 200-day moving average. So if Boeing goes anywhere into 180, I'm expecting easy shorts to set up on Boeing unless there's a real big catalyst change coming into play. Yeah, Boeing has gotten slammed a lot to the downside, but not too long ago, Boeing was in fear of being thrown into the S&P 500 junk list. Okay, so I am not bullish on this company by any means. However, you got to remember, the company is not the stock price. The stock price is not the company. I just don't care about Boeing. That's my personal bias. So if your bias is gonna stop you from making a trade, you should just simply not trade the stock. That's part of the reason why I don't trade AMD as a day trade at all. I don't want to let my personal bullish biasness of AMD make me make a bad decision for my day trade. So I just don't touch AMD at all. And same thing with Boeing. I just hate Boeing. Boeing sucks. Garbage. Fix your planes. Fix your planes. So I don't think 188 is going anywhere close. I could be wrong. But the name's more important for me tomorrow. Not Boeing. I don't care about Boeing. Or it's going to be Verizon, GM, General Motors. General Motors got a beautiful top over here to the north side. If we can clear out that shelf up top, get above that resistance, I am very interested to see what next level could show up. Let's actually go to the monthly chart here and just mark that one off very easier. Put that one over there. So General Motors, 50-50. I like 50-50. 50-50 up top, 50-50 down low. Okay. So watching General Motors over here in the $50.50, if we pop up to the north side on any sort of earnings report, either reject off of that area or a hold above that area. Fairly simple trade. MMM. Where am I typing? Did I put it in my notes? Or what was I typing then? MMM. Hopefully I didn't. Ball drawings. Oh, I actually don't. We can just remove it. Fuck it. All right. 3M, a pretty good reversal ever since its last earnings report. So maybe I'll just do this real quick. I'll throw in a previous earnings report anchored VWAP. Sometimes when companies report, you will see the stock might just whip into the previous earnings report anchored VWAP in the pre-market and then bounce off of that level, either going right back into today's high or even more, or you know, if it doesn't hold this anchored VWAP, then things might really start shifting back to the downside in case of Meta. Well, Meta did, and during one of its earnings reports, they were holding, and then completely broke to the downside. So watching how 3M reports, this is a pretty big shift in characteristics and momentum in the way the stock started trading. Volume also was one of the biggest volume spikes in the most recent history. So that anchored VWAP will be pretty important for me tomorrow to see how the stock plays out. Right now on the daily chart, it's around $130. So if it do pull back into 130, I think there could be some sort of intraday long opportunity, some intraday scalp, some close the gaps. But if we don't hold 130 on MMM on any sort of a downside move off the earnings, I think there could be a little bit of a deeper move downside. So keep that one on watch without a doubt. I do know that this one, obviously you can see as on earnings days, it does bring in a little bit of a volume spike. At least for the most recent earnings days, it's brought in quite a bit of a volume spike. So let's hope that the trend continues and we get some opportunities on this name tomorrow, along with VZGM. And the next one over here, RTX, Raytheon Technologies, and its partner in crime, Lockheed Martin. Ever since obviously the Middle East trouble, these stocks have been kind of catching some traction. Makes sense. Defense names start going higher anytime people start talking about World War III or anything crazy like that. So RTX, LMT have just been going absolutely monstrous to the upside. Very interested to see how these stocks report earnings tomorrow. More so interested to trade, honestly, RTX than LMT. However, LMT does trade, I will say, a lot cleaner than RTX. RTX whips around a little bit. LMT might be the more expensive stock, but it will bring in a little bit of a volume for you to trade off of. You just have to be passive. Be passive, be slow And don't try to chase your positions. If you don't catch it, you don't catch it. You bid into the dips after the stock shows you an easy bottom, or you offer into the rips when the stock shows you an easy top. There will be a flat dollar. Usually it's always a flat dollar resistance or a flat dollar support on Lockheed Martin. It's very easy trade, but you have to be ready to lose $3-4 on the break of that level, because liquidity could easily dry up and you just have to cross that much lower to the downside to get your liquidity out, depending on the size you have and so on. If you're long, and if you're short, same thing, vice versa to the upside. So you have to be a little careful when trading this. Maybe a little bit less size than you're normally used to, but very good opportunities. Usually great opportunities on Lockheed Martin off of news, off of earnings, and I'm very interested to keep these names on watch, along with RTX and along with GE, which was a big mover off of its last earnings report, breaking the what was it, like a monthly, I guess not recent earnings report, I should say. It was March 2024. Big mover from that era, taking the stock into 2016 highs, and now we're pushing into 2007 highs. This is crazy. This is 2007, 2008 highs. The company completely got destroyed from there, recovered, destroyed again, double bottomed, and now going right back into 2008 levels. Monster recovery. Shout out to GE Aerospace. Let's see if we can actually get above this beautiful shelf that we have right into 195. Exactly. So if GE Aerospace can get above 195, I think the next level to keep an eye for is obviously that 202, and then anything above 202 is simply a gift on a positive earnings report. If the stock opens above 195 and it's actually opening up into 202, a pullback into 195 long could be something to keep an eye on, or a short into 202 or 200 failure for a move back into 195. Then you flip long from 195, gap close back into 197 or something, where the stock still ends green on the day, but you get to not only capture the short from the failure to hold above 200 into 195, you also get to flip long from 195 into 197ish or so, where I expect the stock will end up closing into. That is one of the permutations that I have planned out. Obviously there's more than one permutation. The stock could have a negative earnings report, we sell off to the downside. The stock could have a flat earnings report, it doesn't really do anything. So there's so many options over there that we have to prepare for, but very much on the watch list just because of how it's behaved so far. I'll be back. Give me a second, chat. Randy. You guys are going? Bye. Bye, Sheila. Love you. Alright, sorry. My dog has a boo-boo on his paw. I thought my dog was wincing and crying as my sister-in-law was maybe applying some medicine to his foot or something, or maybe getting his foot wet to clean his paw off a little bit. But it was not him. It was just my niece playing with one of those vuvuzela thingies that you get from the dollar store for FIFA World Cup. I thought it was my dog crying for a second, so I panicked. I apologize for that. I'm back, and I'm better. So let's talk about Philip Morris. If I remember correctly, Zins are owned by Philip Morris. It is. So Philip Morris, Zins is owned by Philip Morris. One of the biggest hypes in recent trends for nicotine replacement therapy. Not too long ago, you had vapes. Before that, you had I guess you had mouth things before. What was it, chews or whatever? But the Zins have kind of really caught some traction. The hype behind Zins was a lot. That Philip Morris possibly will show you a lot of juice from those numbers coming into play on their earnings report. So I'm pretty bullish to the long side over here for Philip Morris. A nice little bottom also being formed. A lot of buyers buying up the position above $118. So if we do get below 118, 117, what's that low right there? 117.50. If we do get below 117.50 and stay below 117.50 on any bounces on Philip Morris, easy short. But if we go into 117.50 and stay above 117.50, even on a negative report, I'm more so looking for a long. The company makes, decent amount of money, if I remember correctly, $1.59 per quarter. So let's say, what is that? $1.59 times 4. That's $6.36. So let's just round it down to $6. $6 a year per year. So they make money and they make $6 per year. Their PE probably in the 20s or 30s. Let's go check out what their PE is. 20s right there, 21 on the dot. So not an expensive stock, not a cheap stock. They're not a stupidly expensive stock like some of the semiconductor names are. Where's Nvidia at these days? Right, 67 in the red. So Philip Morris, on any dips, people would most likely look to buy up this position, especially if you go right back into the 200-day moving average, which is at $103.65. So that's quite a bit of a room to the downside over here. That would also be triggering SSR if we go down there. That's another beautiful spot for me to look long if we go down. But for me as a day trade right now, I'm mainly interested on this bottom. If the stock gives me a trade off of this bottom, awesome. If not, then it's got to be somewhere off of these tops. I'm not looking to trade in the middle of the ranges. It's got to be either off of this top or off of this top for me to play with. Otherwise, I'm just simply turned off as a day trader on Philip Morris, and I'll keep an eye on this position for a swing trade on my options account, on my personal account, to look to see if I want to do something with it at that point. 123, 120, 150 to 123 is somewhere that I want to keep an eye on Philip Morris. Obviously, if we're way above it, and if we're into, I'm guessing this could be the all-time high. If we're all the way into the all-time high territory, then that's a completely different game that we're going to be looking to play at that point. Very much in play if it actually gets up there. Netflix. Day 2, monster day 2 today. If you actually got those options as I was telling you to on the breakout above the all-time high, you would have been instantly $1,000, $2,000 in the money. Let's actually go check out. I logged into Options AI for you guys to take a look at some of these earnings movers. Did I not? Yeah, I forgot about it. So here's my Netflix position. It says I am currently $5,000 in the money for a $3,000 position. So that's a pretty good return, right? 185% return, and Netflix is still carrying higher. However, this was a paper trade. So, yikes, right? Paper trade. And here's another paper trade. Mara, now $20 down. I guess total return $5 down. Pretty good though, that Netflix. Hey, that was a earnings based options trade. All I did was wait for the stock to take out the all-time high, show me buying above the all-time high, look bullish above the all-time high. Then I just got an in the money call right around that very same price, and ever since then I just never had to look back. Pretty easy strategy over there. Pretty easy strategy. I'm looking to keep testing the strategy a little bit longer and then deploy it on some of the bigger heavy hitting names into earnings and see if I can double, triple my account a little bit. Okay, Let's head to, real quick, we're going to scroll back a little bit to some of these earnings names. Verizon, expecting a 4.1% move. For Verizon, I want to go check GM, see if some of the levels I was talking about are expected. GM, we have 50-50. They're expecting 51.50 or 46.26. Okay, that's a 5.5 expected move. How about 3M? What are you expecting for 3M? MMM 144.34, 125.34. Okay, $5 below what I was expecting. I was expecting 130, so maybe the stock does go into 125.30, pulls back into 130, fails around 130, and then starts selling back lower. That could be an easy short for me to play with, but they're expecting a 7% move on options AI for 3M. Let's check out RTX real quick. RTX 130.97 or 120.83, 4% move. LMT 3.7% move. Okay, and Philip Morris 3.3% move, 115 to the downside or 123. Yeah, 122.89, 123. Awesome. So pretty much couple levels in line over there. Let's head back to the Netflix name. Day 2 opportunity on Netflix. I want to see if it actually held day 1 VWAP. If so, it looks like it actually did. To the key. There you go. So Netflix gave you a multiple bottom into Friday's anchored VWAP, and that's basically a move that I keep talking about. Look for a stock to go back into day 1's anchored VWAP. You can either put in the anchored VWAP from 930, or you can put it in from the pre-market. It really doesn't matter how you want to do it. It does matter a little bit, right? Because of the volume and so on. But if you notice how big of a difference it really makes, and it really doesn't. You know how in the market it's always a range. It's never really a to the price level. Sometimes to the price level works out, it's magical that way, but it's never to the price level. It's a range, and you got to be able to stay a little flexible. So on that note, this, if you had it at 930 or at pre-market, the anchored VWAP, you would have still been able to catch it. Notice how the earnings anchored VWAP didn't really come into play today, possibly comes into play in the future days. But here is Friday's anchored VWAP, stock pulling back into Friday's anchored VWAP, holding support off of this level multiple times. This is actually a beautiful chart to study, guys. Hold up, this is a beautiful chart to study. Let me mark this so I could potentially clip it and post it on. So notice how the stock pulls back into the earnings days anchored VWAP, bounces off the earnings days anchored VWAP multiple times after an opening drive selling event, opening drive profit taking selling event, but we hold above the day 1 anchored VWAP. Later on, the stock actually manages to go all the way higher into today's open, struggles around today's open, and then pulls back, burns the stops at the bottom over here, but then immediately comes back up. That action right there, where the stock burns the stops and then comes right back, this is a big opportunity. If you can spot these trades, where usually it happened once already right here. You can see how the previous low a day got taken out. They just kind of burn the stops, and then immediately the stock starts to rally higher, make a higher low, and start rallying higher and higher. They tried to burn the stops here again, and they ran it up, and they burned the stops here again, and then they ran it up. So if you ever notice this pattern coming into play, just wait for the stops to get burnt at your key levels, and when those stops get burnt, that's when you start fighting for your price, cross over, slam the offer, get long as hard as you can, and now you can risk the new swing low as your stop. If the stock then, after going higher, goes back lower and breaks the new low a day after breaking the previous stops, then at that point it's just shorts, kind of like what it did over here, right? If it just goes down there, then it's just shorts, but it didn't. It just started going higher and higher and higher. So move 1, move 2, move 3, these are amazing things to look out for on especially some of the large cap names. You'll see them happen very often. They'll burn the stop and then they'll run it up higher, and you always like, oh man, why did I keep my stop there, or why did I use my stop? Oh, you always like beating yourself about it. So Netflix, perfect day 2 play, and now we're waiting for day 3. So basically day 3 is a little bit similar to day 2. You're expecting Netflix to pull back into today's VWAP, or you're expecting today's VWAP to be a little bit higher than yesterday's VWAP, which it already is. Right? Today's VWAP is 765. Yesterday's VWAP is 760. So between 765 to 760 is basically your look for a long play on this stock tomorrow. From 760 to 765 is your look for a long on this position. As long as the stock stays above 760 to 765, easy opportunity for you to look for another monster run up on Netflix, who recently reported a decent earnings report. Not a bad report, showing you that they are able to grab more eyes with that ad subscription tier base. TSM, monster move on TSM, but they've been basically slowly giving back the move, breaking under previous days low. No follow through under previous days lows, but we're not actually having any proper successful follow through to the upside, especially after Nvidia. The way Nvidia moved today, you would have expected TSM to have a little bit of a juice. Nvidia had a completely new all-time high, so not sure if there is a real day 2 day 3 play on TSM setting up for us to take advantage of, but always on the watch list. They reported earnings recently. There's a lot of names over here on the watch list that are a lot more important for us. We got, quite a bit of names colored in orange. We might even have to color RTX and LMT in orange tomorrow in pre-market based on what they do. So at this point, TSM doesn't really make that cut for me unless it pulls all the way back into this 194, 195. I don't think it should pull into 194, 195. Ideally, the stock should not go below 200. So as long as it stays above 199.50 to 200, potentially you can look long. But if it starts getting below that, then you're waiting for 194, 195 come into play on TSM to maybe make some decisions. I won't even color it orange. I'll color it blue because I don't care about what the stock does tomorrow. Nvidia. Monster move on Nvidia today, obviously. Shout out to Nvidia. Hats off to Nvidia, boy. Oh my goodness. Just the king of the semiconductor sector. And what was the catalyst today again? I'm kind of forgetting what happened with Nvidia. They had some sort of a news, right? Open source AI model doing better than the open AI ChatGPTs. So obviously beating OpenAI ChatGPT, doing stronger than OpenAI's ChatGPT. Nvidia now slamming the competitors with their own GPU. The competitors need Nvidia's GPU to compete, whereas now Nvidia can basically retain the best GPUs for themselves and train their own model themselves. So shout out to Nvidia for now joining that other side of the game too. And then obviously, hats off to Nvidia. I got no words for it. No words. As for a day trade, pretty simple. You're watching the previous all-time high to come into play. As long as the stock stays above 140, in my opinion, the previous all-time high was 141. But I'm gonna say as long as it stays above 140, there is a long opportunity here on Nvidia without a doubt. So you're watching this one most likely off the open tomorrow. If this one stays above 140 on any pullback, a no-brainer long on Nvidia. SMCI still having a lot of trouble in the $50 to $51, but if SMCI starts to hold above 50, above 51, there is a no-brainer long on this one too. So keep an eye on SMCI. AVGO, did you have some traction to the north side? Not much. Not much traction on most of these semiconductor names. Micron getting slammed back down. TSM not not doing much, AMD not doing much. Nvidia was the only solo player over here. I guess AMD a little bit, AMD bouncing 1.2% higher. AMD actually having a nice little consolidation over here. I like this tight consolidation AMD is having. Shout out to AMD. But Nvidia basically the sole benefactor of the sector today, looks like. Not looking too good for the rest of them. Let's go to drug and NUZE. Drug pulled back exactly to one of the levels that I had mapped out for on the run up. So that is actually the IPO day high that we pulled back into. So I'm just gonna go ahead and say under over 44.75 on DRUG. Either it stays above 44.75 / $45 and stays bullish above 45, or it stays weak below 45, at which point I'm going to look for shorts only. So it depends on what the stock does. Where are we trading, above or below 45 is the only thing I care about. And the same idea for NUZE. It says 160, but we have this swing low right here, 150. So NUZE, if this stock can get below 150, I think there's going to be a lot of room to the downside, back into 40 cents on this position. And if it stays above 150, there could be more wildness opening up back into $2, back into $3.50. So I think watching this one into $1.50 will obviously be a little important tomorrow. As for the large cap names, I'm not really too interested for most of the large cap names, such as Microsoft, Google, Amazon. I don't really care about what they do at the moment, except for Apple. Apple going right back into all-time high. Microsoft, I mean, it doesn't really look appetizing for a day trade. Neither does Google, neither does Amazon. They're just all compressing and chopping around in a little range at the moment. So no opportunity. Same thing on Tesla, especially when Tesla has an earnings report coming out at Wednesday after hours, if I remember accurately. We just talked about it all day. So Wednesday after hours, Tesla reporting earnings. Compressing right before earnings is perfect. Let me actually go ahead and delete all my drawings, because now the only thing that matters for me as a day trader is how the stock reacts off of its earnings report, either to the downside or to the upside off of that report. Until then, I don't want to touch the stock. I don't think it does something anyways going into that report. So no trades on Tesla, no trades on Amazon, no trades on Google, no trades on Microsoft. Meta potentially, because I've been noticing Meta has been struggling below 580, and then we had a little bit of a hold into 575, and then we got below 575. That was like a 3-day hold of 575, and then we got below 575 today and just closed above 575. So now we have what seems to be a little bit of weakness pouring into Meta. I'm not saying it's gonna sell off all the way into $500, but it's a little bit of weakness pouring into Meta over here. So maybe some opportunity setting up as long as we stay below 580. I think there's a little bit of a range now from 575 to 580, and then from 575 to 570. So you have these $5 ranges that you're keeping on, and then above 580 you also have 584, because it was a little choppy between 580 to 584, 585 to the upside, but it never really managed to stay above 580 every single day. I remember it because I was trading it. So watching the stock, how it behaves on any pops, and if these sellers are still very much in play to push Meta to the downside, potentially some opportunity there. Apple moving back into the all-time high, so I'm keeping an eye on this one. That all-time high is at 237.50. Let me just quickly throw an alert in for myself. That alert is at 237.50, so very much in play if we push into this 237 price. Today's high 237.60, 236.85, and doesn't really do too much above that. I'm gonna set the alert again at 236.82. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at 236.82. So obviously watching 237 to 237.50 on Apple without a doubt. Either a breakout above the all-time high on Apple, which I don't think should happen, because, you know, I don't think people are buying apples as much as they were before. People are I see more and more people transitioning away from Apple. So I'm not really that bullish on Apple as I was previously in the past, but we'll see what happens. That could be wrong. I've been pretty wrong about Apple short in this range, and Apple right now going absolutely crazy. However, Apple did set up for a monster short the last time it got here. I'm watching it this time if it sets up for another short going back in here. The more time a stock tests a certain level, the less it is in play for that same direction. The more it's in play for the opposite direction, so meaning that it could break out and go higher, the more times we test this level, the more it's in play for the long than it is for the short side. So right now we got the test number 3, test number 2 coming into play. So watching how Apple sets up. As for the overall market, I think the market basically does not too much at the moment. Market just kind of cooling off. We had a pretty steep sell-off to start off the day. That sell-off got completely negated with the help of Nvidia, I would say. You had a couple other large cap stocks also bouncing back higher, so shout out to that. Pretty steep sell-off today in the middle of the day, but then that got bought right back up, obviously. Nvidia was a big move into the close also. Guessing there was a little bit of a imbalance over there. So overall for the market, I mean, even for the economic calendar, we got nothing for the econ calendar. So if I was to refresh econ calendar for you here, tomorrow we have the monetary fund meetings, I guess. Who cares about that? FOMC member talking at 10 o'clock. And besides that, there's nothing really on the economic calendar. So the market's slowing down a little bit. Also going into some of the hottest earnings names coming out. You got Tesla, next week potentially Microsoft, Google, and all the other big names reporting. I would expect the market to be slow going into those big names. So at the moment, a little bit of compression, also compressing into all-time highs on the market, which is insane. At least for the S&P 500, the QQQ still a little bit shy of the all-time high, but still compressing into the all-time high, which is beautiful. So markets are compressing at the moment. IWM had a steep sell-off, monster sell-off on IWM after a triple top coming into play. So this one's a little weak today, obviously. Did not bounce back after the way QQQ and S&P 500 did. So IWM monster sell-off. Something that I'm forgetting to have on my watch list, silver. SLV had a monster breakout today. Gold also going higher, so potentially keep these two on the watch also. I'm just gonna quickly throw silver on the watch list for myself. And that is basically all she wrote for tomorrow's watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Let's quickly go see if there is any IPOs tomorrow for us to potentially keep an eye on. Tomorrow's not the 24th, so nothing there. 22nd, is tomorrow the 22nd? Tomorrow is the 22nd. That's a decent amount, and that looks like a stupid company. That better not be an acquisition company. I'm gonna be so pissed off if it is. 7 million, 11 million, 491 million. So that's on the 24th of October. So 24th of October, a little bit of a way out. 22nd, what do you actually do? Yeah, don't care about it. Don't care about it. It is a blank check company. It is a stupid reverse SPAC merger company. So unless it actually mergers, I don't care about what that company does. No IPOs on the watch except for October 24th. So make sure you tune in for October 23rd to learn about what this company, Ingram Holdings, where is it? Ingram Microchip Holdings. Oh, Micro Holdings Corp. Sorry, never mind. Ingram Micro Holdings Corp. They'll be on watch going into 23rd to 24th. And that is basically, ladies and gentlemen, all she wrote for today. Nothing else that I have left to talk about. Bitcoin had a pretty decent rally to the upside. overnight or over the weekend, but that rally got stuffed back down today. Some of the other cryptocurrencies, SOL, Dogecoin, all of them started going higher, but with Bitcoin, getting slammed back down today, I guess that didn't really help some of these cryptocurrencies, but always on watch the cryptocurrency sector. But tomorrow, I think it's going to be most likely the earnings names. So that's going to be Philip Morris, GE, RTX, 3M, GM, Verizon, LMT, Netflix, TSM. Some of the semiconductor names, Nvidia and SMCI, if SMCI gets strong above $50-51. IonQ, the nuclear energy names, OKLO, NNE, SMR, if they have some sort of a day 2, day 3 opportunity over here, and Apple into the all-time high. These are basically our main watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy TraderPrad is going to wish you the best of luck for tomorrow. Smash the market. Come back tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Monday to Thursday, 8 o'clock. Always here for you guys, covering what's moving around on the market and how can we potentially take advantage of these moves. So come join me Monday to Thursday, 8 o'clock. And best of luck. TraderPrad out. Peace. Get ready for trade off of get ready for the watch list for tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna bring in my big screen over here, back to another brand new week of After the After Hours with your host TraderPrad. I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, TraderSync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.